Hello, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As usual, this is a magic do with my twin Yasmin Custom. But tonight we have a great, special speaker, Dr. Yvonne Mundi. She is a lady which is wearing, many hats. Dr. Yvonne, after all, she is living in America. She will tell us more about her, but this is just to give you some introduction. She is a leader, she is a founder of One Global Movement. One Global Movement. It's a movement which will be empower and inspire a youth around the world. Dr. Mundi, she is an African girl. She came from Africa like us, me and Yasmin, so that she is our great sister. Apart from that, we are working with her, this marvelous movement from her brain, from her view, from her mission, from her vision, one global movement. I wanted to say, and it is privileged to say, Dr. Mendit, welcome, welcome to our Magic Do show. Actually, Magic Do show is a television show, and it is very popular in Somali speakers and in English speakers. So, welcome, Dr. Yvonne Mundit.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It is my honor for you two to have me here, Amina and Yasmin. You are my great sisters, like you just said, from Africa. I am so honored to be here and I am very grateful. And I appreciate you too, first, for the wonderful job that you are doing to uplift humanity and with a focus on the continent of Africa. It is our pleasure that we come here to support the great work that you are doing because it is uplifting Africa in connection to the entire world. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., he said, everyone can be great. Why? Because everyone can serve. You just need a heart full of grace and a soul full of love in order to serve. So, like you said before, yes, my name is Yvonne Monde. I come from the great continent of United Africa, residing in the United States of America. I am the founder of One Global Movement. One Global Movement, which came out of a unique story, a movement that is serving the youth globally with a focus on the young woman. And my purpose is to serve villages, communities with a focus on the global youth, particularly the young woman because the problems, the challenges that the world faces, the young woman faces it more. And so I focus on that. And so I also believe that serving gives happiness. When we serve other people with our heart, it gives us happiness, not just the people that we are serving. And it, of course, it's giving you, I see you guys every day serving. And it lightens my heart and my mind. And I see you guys also smiling. That is the essence of serving. Serving to give us, it gives us a great sense of purpose. appreciation and contribution to causes that are near and great to our heart. When we serve, we must have filled our heavenly account with mercy, with good health, with wealth, with an overflow, so that we can continue to shift that overflow to others that cannot do it for themselves. Living a life of service, leadership, and purpose is what one global movement is all about. Thank you so much.
All right, Dr. Yvonne, before we deep into our marvelous and wonderful night interview, we are dying to hear about your background. So, can you, Sister Yvonne, tell us about your background when I asked you, who is Dr. Yvonne?
Yes. Okay. Yes. A little bit about my background. I have a long background, but I'm going to try to summarize it. I was born in this little village in Cameroon, in the continent of Africa, called Mbengui. And during this time, so much emphasis was placed on the education of the male child against the female child. And so, education was that one thing that propelled me to get to where I am today. And because I was denied an education through the mentorship of my grandmother and my teenage mother and some good parents of the village, I chose education over a forceful marriage. And so then became the very first female child with a bachelor's degree. And then they sent me abroad to further my education. I became the very first with the master's. And still now, I am the very first with a doctorate degree. It is so important to me, not just the degree, but what I do with that degree. Because think about a whole village coming together to educate a child. It is said in our African culture that it takes the entire village to raise, to love, and to educate a child. I am that product of my village. And I owe so much to that village and now the entire world, because the problem that faced me then as an 11-year-old is the same problem that is facing the global economies as I see it in the United States of America. It might be from different levels and different angles, but it is still the same problem. And that is why I am so grateful that you have invited me here today to carry a conversation with you guys so that people, especially the youth, can begin to learn and do the same or even better. Thank you.
I think the next question is will be asked at you, Sister Yasmin. Yasmin?
Hello, I'm so glad to have you, Sister Yvonne Mundit, who is powerful and dynamic lady. If you meet her, she has got too much missions that she need to accomplish. And also, I will take this opportunity to thank and show my appreciation to our CEO, Ash Mufarah, who is the reason that we are connected. The only inheritance before Ombasif takes off and we start milking our benefits from Ombasif is already we have made families around the globe. We have gained valuable people that we never used to meet and we were not able to meet. So already, as our mission of Ombasif and our CEO says that we are global movement, he is already, connecting us. So we are becoming more powerful. So welcome, Sister Yvonne. I'm so glad, and I cannot wait also you to tell us your last trip to Korea, where I was following you every second of the way. I was traveling, I was sitting in my house, but I went with you everywhere. Can you imagine that? I was in Korea with you, South Korea. So I will just ask you, Sister Yvonne, what was the history behind the founding this youth empowering global? What inspired you to do so? Please.
Oh, thank you so much for that question. That question is loaded, but it's very important because there has to be a reason, a why, a very big why this movement is formed. One global movement is born out of a childhood inspiration of an 11-year-old girl whose home was the bush for some time because she chose education over marriage. In this little village called Mbengui in Cameroon, in West Africa, an 11-year-old girl was forced into marriage instead of giving her the opportunity to go to school. With the love, mentorship, and care of her grandmother, a one-time TV show that she watched from the only TV owner in the village who used a generator. There was no electricity then. And this TV show talked about freedom and success in the United States of America. And with the love and care of my entire village, they saw how obsessed I was, wanted an education. I would pick pieces of papers, pick pens, and even I was in that bush. But the kids in the village knew what was going on. They would be coming back from school. They would stealthily come into that bush and they would be teaching me. And I will learn from them. And from that point on, when I choose education, I was living in the bush. 11-year-old, can you imagine? Living in the bush with animals. But I wasn't even afraid because certain things began to come to me. I don't know what it was, but certain things began to come to me downloaded in my head. And I was determined that I will acquire that education. And so through all this tragic moment, and sometimes even under bleeding, because sometimes I was beaten for choosing an education. And this little girl, she was in a place where no child should ever be made to visit. No child living should ever be made to visit the place where this little girl visited. Her determination to acquire an education kept her going. By the time she was 14 years old, she had lived in about 5 homes. And in any of these homes, she suffered from psychological, emotional, and physical abuse. Inspired by her grandmother, her teenage mother's hard work, and the one-time TV show that she became obsessed with, walking to the United States, because I thought I could walk to the United States. She received the mantle blessing from her grandmother. My grandmother blessed me with the mantle, traditional mantle blessing, that bird, the bird flying in the sky, is going to take me to the United States of America. And I believed her. I thought it was a physical bird. I did not know that it was an aeroplane. And so I believed my grandmother. And so, as God will have it, today I am in the United States of America. Somehow the village came together and said they need to send me abroad. This village had nothing. They sold their land. They gave me plums of trees, fish pond to fish and sell. They did whatever it took them to to sponsor me in school, and they sent me abroad. And today I am sharing my story in freedom in United States of America, giving me the platform to share my story, especially through OnPassive, like you mentioned. Ash Mufara has given us the mandate, the freedom to begin to serve, especially the youth of the world. The youth are the future. They were there yesterday. They are here today. They will be there tomorrow. Our contribution to the youth of the world is very important to our children because they are the leaders of tomorrow. So there is always something that happens when you are determined under sunshine or rain, under blood or water. When you are determined to do something, something opens out. I'm tempted to call it God. The universe will open out for you, and things begin to happen to you that you don't even know how they did happen. When my grandmother told me, God has lined your path with people who will help you cross. I see you guys here. You are those people. Mr. Ash Mufara is one of them, unpassive. All of us, 1.4 million founders, those are the people. When I asked what are their names, my grandmother said, I don't know their names, but they are there. And you guys are here today. So this little girl co-authored 4 books. And now the 5th book is on the way. And that is the background that inspired me to start, form, and register one global movement. Out of my unique story came one global movement. And Ash Mufara with Unpassive is making it even bigger now. I was doing it, but I was doing it on a smaller scale. But now it's getting bigger and bigger. And that little girl is this woman that you see here today, Yvonne Mundi. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Congratulations. Yeah, congratulations. We are so delighted to have you. And also, it's, empowering that a lot of young women around the globe or in our continent uh, should see you, that you have reached your goals with the help and inspiration of your grandmother. So I'm so happy to listen. Welcome, Amina, sister, please.
so Dr. Javan,
Yes.
sister, your brilliant idea to set up this movement, one global movement, and us that we wanted to help and empower youth around the world because of Ombasis, because we are here, because we are having our enterprise companies under Ombasis umbrella. And Ombasis is a technology company. So this is question for you. How does technology, including AI, play a role in youth empowering globalist mission and programs?
Thank you
What
so
did you
much.
think? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Growing up, you can imagine that I am learning technology, AI, IT, as an adult. I'm learning it now. And I am learning it so fast because I can't take my eyes off it. I can't take my head and my heart off it because I know that that is the trend. That is the order of the day. And things are changing for the better. And so now, talking about the village that I was born in, that is one of the services that I want to provide in my village because when we empower the youth through AI, artificial intelligence, and IT, we help them to make things possible, things that will not have been possible for them be possible. We talk about O Academy. We talk about O Youth, O Play. We talk about a lot of the beautiful products that Mr. Ash Mufara and the team are building. We see that talking from the continent of Africa, and other continent, but particularly the continent of Africa, because I come from Africa and I know the things that are going on there. Kids go through a whole lot. Right now, I have my youth ambassadors all over the world in the continent of Africa too. They are finding difficulties with the internet and with electricity, let alone AI. If you don't have those resources, you will not be able to use AI. And so, with Ash Mufare bringing these artificial intelligent products, I am rest assured and I am at peace and happiness. I am grateful that youth in the world will be able to stay in their homes because artificial intelligence, these products is being brought by Ash Mufara right to the confines and safety of their own homes. So that way they can be able to go to school from kindergarten to PhD without leaving their homes, without crossing rivers and dying in the seas because they are rushing to other countries for greener pastures. Without dying in the bush, they will be able to sit in their homes. And he is building it in such a way that it looks like he had me in mind before building those things because it's so easy for me to just click with a click, then I can get to something. So this is going to help a lot for me to disseminate, especially the passionate courses that I'm going to be creating with you guys' help, because I cannot do it alone, so that we can disseminate these courses, not just only in the continent of Africa, but in the entire world. So this is going to just be amazing, and I am grateful. This is going to help a lot. Thank you.
Yes, Yasmin, go on. You are on mute, Yasmin.
So by creating this global movement in which I and Amina was being delighted to be part of, and it was been privileged, and we are looking forward to see our impact globally with a lot of our other friends who are contributing. Lee Nakamoto, Idvina, Lee, John Barilla, Reka, John Barilla, Sabis, Mark, who are all listening to us. So it's everybody's mission, and we are glad we have got this stronger team. Esther, Brady, and everyone who is Ava Diaz as well. The people are getting stronger. So what challenges through this global movement when you started? What challenges have you faced?
Thank you so much. And I want to let our audience and everyone know that every good thing in life comes with challenges. Yes. And when they come with those challenges, you know that that's a good thing. And you stick with those challenges, because those challenges are only there to make us grow bigger and better every day. Of course, I faced challenges at the beginning. One of the challenges was how to get the word out there to the youth and even to the parents, because you cannot try to build the hopes and dreams of the youth without also building the hopes and dreams of the parents. Otherwise, the youth will be at the same place. Not that the parents don't know, but there are certain things that we don't know, and we have to keep learning. So to get to them was one of the things that it was challenging, and it is still challenging today, because as you know, our youth, some of them are ashamed to take the stage, because this movement is for them. We need to hear from them. We need to know what they like, what they don't like. We need to know where it pinches, where it hurts. We need to know the resources that they need. We need to meet them at the point where they are. So it is still a challenge. And I ask, especially our wonderful team that you just mentioned, that we need to keep encouraging our youth in whatever way we can, so that they can begin to speak for themselves. They take this stand, like Vanshika has done, and like Rekha says she's going to be arranging some youths to come on there. We need to keep encouraging them, because we can talk, and talk, but we cannot force onto them unless we hear from them. That is why we will keep talking and broadcasting in all different channels and all different ways, even in writing, so that we can disseminate this. And that is one of the biggest challenge, because presence is so important. If somebody is not present, you cannot ask them to learn something that they're not present to hear it for themselves. And even if they are present, they need to be able to understand and ask questions. So the presence of the youth is what is so challenging right now. And if they can be present, now we begin to sort out the resources. What resources do they need? How can we channel these resources to get to them? And now things have been made better with Unpassive, because one of the things that I'm doing now is to gather the names of youth all over the world, try to register them, if possible, creating and buying an account for them, depending on what they are doing, and also educating them to make sure that they're using the account for a good purpose. So that is one of the challenges that I'm facing. Thank you.
Yasmin? All right, we will go on. Sister Yvonne Mendit. so that what you already gave them, advice, and you gave us advice, at least, to register them, to open them an account and everything. But what did you think? How do you measure the success and effectiveness of youth empowering globalist projects and programs? And is there any projects that you are now starting on this forum of you? Oh, that it's all our forum, but this forum that you already set up for us.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think those projects, we all will answer that question because this is our forum. Every parent out there, um, One Global Movement belongs to all of us. It is our forum, like you said. And yes, there are some projects that I am carrying out right now. Those projects, I'm starting a library because education is number one. It's not just classroom education. It's the experiences that we gather along the way of life. It is the newspaper, the book that we pick up to read that will increase our experiences. So one of the things that I'm doing now is to rent a living room of somebody in a center place where the youths can go there, equip them with books so that they can go there and read. And when time comes, I want to include computers. But because of the internet difficulties, I'm not able to do that now. Put computers there that they can go and do their research and they write out their papers and they do their homework and then they go home. But also including a supper table. Because if a child does not eat, if I don't eat, I'll be angry. I can't speak. So I am also trying to include a supper table. When they come, they do their studies, they do their research. Now they eat and then they go home and sleep in peace and also give the parents some relief. And I'm also trying to create scholarship programs. But one of the things that I really achieved now is I bought a piece of land. When I'm talking about building polytech schools and IT school, it starts with acquiring a piece of land. So I acquire a piece of land. It's still in the process now with the acquiring the land title, so that when those apples begin to fall off from the tall trees of unpassive, then we can begin to do something. So those are the things that I am doing. I'm also writing, continuing to write books because knowledge is hidden in books. And so if we continue to write book according to the environment, according to the needs of the youth, and then that is something that we will help them to achieve. So that those are some of the things that I am trying to do. And I know that you guys are also adding on to what I am doing. So I am really grateful for that. Thank you.
Yasmin, do you jump in or I will go on?
Yes, I would like to ask Dr. Yvonne. I'm also here, a technician, and moving from one person to another. The concentration is very difficult. So I am also, my hands and lips are itching because I want to know more about your farming projects. Someone, a lady from Africa who is living in the United States and is still doing farming. That's what,
Oh, you steal that question from me. I wanted to ask her. I was
okay,
dying to ask her.
okay, okay, keep it. Okay, keep it. Okay, don't get jealous, Amina. Okay, Dr. Yvonne, tell us about how and what strategies you employ to ensure the sustainability and long-term impact of your initiatives, especially what have you succeed of your last trip to South Korea.
Okay, wow. It's a lot of things. A lot of things. If I'm going to talk about South Korea, it's going to take weeks. And I am so grateful that I was invited to attend the International Youth Fellowship. And it wasn't just the International Youth Fellowship. The parents all over the world came because the youth cannot deal without the parents. So it was the International Youth Fellowship and the Christian Leadership Fellowship for the parents. So we were there together. The youth were having their own thing, and then the parents were having their own thing. But at one point, we have to interact with the youth, especially me with the One Global Movement. The youth, they wore me out. I've been sick. I've been having all kinds of cold and everything. But it was fun. It was fun. So we learned about a lot of things which would empower the youth and the parents, a lot of resources. And one of the things is in this book, if you can see it, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, we
mind
can see.
mind education.
Education,
This is
man,
one of
education. Yes.
the resources that I got. So the power of our thoughts. One of the first thing, the power of our thoughts was the thing that was taught with, for the youths, and not just teaching, telling them, but we bring these youths together, empower them, and then let them start discussion on the power of thought. Because when they do it by themselves, it sticks more. And so the power of our thought. What is it that we think when we are awake, or even when we wake up at night, or what is it that we think? Is it positive or negative? What are we thinking? And we are humans. We are bound to think positively and negatively. It is just the way we are. But how do we replace those negative thoughts when they do come? So that was one of the important things that we studied in South Korea. And then building a firm foundation for children. How do we build a firm foundation for our children? Beginning from home. Home is where the first foundation comes.
Mm.
And even so, right there in your womb, when that baby is in that womb and start kicking and moving at the age of 4 months, 5 months, what is it that we, the parents, are telling the baby inside our womb? And especially the mother who carries that baby. What blessing, what things, what do you want that baby to become? You tell your baby, you hold your stomach and you telling that baby, because that baby listens, whether we like it or not, or whether we know it or not, that baby listens. So home is where we're supposed to start building these children. And if they go to school, school is there as a pointer to direct them, to teach them, not to raise those children. They are part of raising the children, but we cannot leave the problems of our children to teachers. We have to build that firm foundation first. And then we have to bring children together in an inspiring, calm, and educative environment. So it's a lot of things that we learn, and then building meaningful relationship. Instead of, we know that artificial intelligence is good, IT is good, but how can we help our children to do it when they need to do it, and to leave it alone and interact with other children, with other humans, in order to build meaningful relationships? So it is a lot more. So I will leave it at that point. Maybe we'll route again and come back, but it's a lot of things that we learn.
All right, sister.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you, because Yasmin, she asked you a double question. So I'm glad that you left that farming, project of you in America. I'm really glad. Oh, I'm really lucky girl. So what about that farm, sister? What you are, what you are, how you progress that farm. I like farming, but you know, unluckily, I'm living apartment, I don't have acres, I don't have spaces. But one day, inshallah, one day I will get it. So, what is in your farm?
Okay, thank you so much. I left that question unanswered deliberately, because I realized that she asked two questions and you wanted the other one. So I chose the other one for her and leave the other one for you. So I did that deliberately. So yes, um, the very first book that I grew up reading in life was the greatest book of wisdom, which is the Bible. And I'm not a preacher, I'm not a pastor, but that book is the greatest book of wisdom. It's just like the Quran. The Quran is the greatest book of wisdom, whether we like it or not. Who we are, what we do, how we live our lives, the children, how we raise our children, how we change, everything is written in the greatest book of wisdom if we can follow the principles. The same thing too in the Quran. I mentioned the Quran. Part of my family is Muslim, and I highly respect that.
Yeah.
You know, my ex-husband is a Muslim, so my son. That's so.
Oh. Mm.
So yes, so you know, in the greatest book of wisdom, my grandmother was teaching me that a grandmother who did not know how to read, but she knew how to read in a different language called Mongaka. So she would teach me everything. Everything that I know is my grandmother. And so there is, I don't know how to quote it because I'm not a pastor. There is a place in the Bible that says, when you want to buy a home, be sure to buy a home where it has some space where you can garden, you can plant, grow your own vegetable organically. So you need to have that. And when you buy land to build your home, always reserve some part of that land to garden, grow your tomatoes, your vegetables organically. And that is the life that how we live. My grandmother and my mom, we always have different kinds of vegetable. So my mother and my grandmother, they did large scale farming to educate us, and we ate, we did everything. And so I grew up with that spirit. My father owned a cocoa and coffee plantation, and we worked. And so that thing has never left me. I went to the university, I was doing farming, following the parents to the farm. And I did things and I started selling because I knew that my mom and my grandmother and the parents of the village were struggling. So I always farm, and other students would be buying, and they'll be even mocking me. They'll be like, how come a beautiful girl like you're doing farming? I say, what? Farming? Farming is the number one. Without that food, you can't be going to school. You can't even talk. And farmers are the richest people in the world. And so I have carried on with that tradition. Now, here in the United States, you know, I rented before. I didn't have space, just like you, Amina, just so you know. I didn't have space to do any gardening. And so I went to a church where they have community gardening. They will give you little portions of plots. And so I was doing that. But when I had the opportunity to buy my own home, I'm living in the suburbs. I'm a farm girl. I don't live in the city. I don't like the city. I live right in the villages. And so I was looking for about 11 or 15 acres of land because I was thinking about one global movement in mind to see how I can build my office where I will buy that house and land. But as God will have it, I was not lucky to get that space because it was a seller's market. People were rushing for houses, buying houses. So, but I got this one with half an acre and a little lake, a little pond behind. So I bought it. Now I plant corn, sweet and hard corn
Now,
from Africa,
corn, yeah.
potatoes. Those are the things that my parents, my grandmother and my mom grew. I have water leaf. I have all kinds of vegetables. I have tomatoes. I have watermelon. If I can ship it to you guys, I will ship it even to the audience if I can, because when I do that, I share with the community, and
No,
then
I will come to you. You don't
yeah,
need,
come,
to get, all that terrible
please
of
come, come.
shipping. I'm coming to you.
Please come. My mom is saying that, why are those children not coming here? I said, Mom, they live far away. They don't live close here. So she doesn't understand that. She keeps saying they need to come because she cooks. She cooks 24/7. She owned a restaurant for about 30 years to raise us. So I love cooking myself. So I
Wow.
am doing it every day. And just so we know, gardening is very important for our health, for our lives. It's important for our mental health. When you garden, you're not just gardening for the crops. That is a form of exercise. It's a form of exercise. When you garden, you take off your mind from other thoughts that are not healthy, or from these gadgets, the computer, and focus on another thing.
Mm.
When you garden, you are sharing and you're caring, because some of those crops you share with your community. Some people cannot do it for themselves. And so when you do that, you're also sharing. So gardening has a lot of benefits. So I invite everyone to visit me during harvest. Things are getting ready and it's doing so well. Thank you.
Thank you. If that is so, then I have to rent allotment. Here in Britain, we said allotment. Allotment is a block of land you
Uh-huh.
can rent or you can buy, and you can, do all that gardening. Thank you for getting me that idea right now. My mind was wavering like that.
And
I
you
was
can plant
thinking
too.
about, yeah,
You
I
can
was
plant
thinking
in little
about how I
pots.
can I get, yeah.
You can plant in little pots in the house. but just so you keep it closer to the window so that the light, the crops that
No,
need light.
I have a medium size of balcony.
Oh, okay. There you can do. See, you can do
Yeah.
it there. I have
Where?
pot in my apartment when I was renting with no space. I bought little pots, and then
Yeah, there
I
is. Yeah.
planted, and I actually harvested bell peppers and hot peppers, just planting in those pots. So it beautifies the environment too. It's just like flowers, but then it's also food.
So we are going to come in the conclusion of our interview. I wanted to know, when you are not working, sister, when you are not working,
Mhm.
what is your hobby? What you would like to do? Like reading books, watch movies, sports, squash or tennis. Yeah?
Yes.
Something like that. What you
I-
would like to do?
yes, when I'm not working, which right now, my only job now is on passive. I quit the real job. Now my only job now is on passive. When I'm not working, I'm a reader. I read and write a lot, almost every day. It's like if I don't read and write, something is going to happen to me. And that I've been doing that since from childhood. And so I read and write. I go out in the forest. I like to walk in the forest to admire the nature, the flowers, the trees, and sometimes like hearing the sound, the whispers of the trees really brings me inspiration to do more. I can carry my books. And sometimes I just go inside my corn and I sit there and just read. It makes me just feel so inspired to even do more. But I also cook food and take to families. Maybe sometimes on Sundays, I cook food and take to families, and I go around to feed the hungry. I cannot cook food to them, but I can buy food from like McDonald's and drinks. I take to the people on the street that don't have food to eat. So I do that when I'm not doing any other thing. So, and I also mentor youths. There are youth that all over the
Yeah.
world, they will call me. So I do a lot of things. Sometimes I don't have time, but I think when those apple come, I will recruit somebody that can be managing a lot of my things. But I'm so glad that you guys are there. You are a media specialist because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lessons that you give, they are phenomenal. And I really urge you to put those things down and begin to teach, or you give me to teach. And you, Yasmin is there. She has a whole ocean of experience in working with youth. And
Yes, it did.
God just sent two of you my way, and I'm so happy. I can have the degree, but that's not the experience. Experience is more than having those degrees. I always tell people that those degrees are nothing. And I have a lot to learn from you guys and the nosy kind. And I'm going to keep asking you guys until I get what I want, because I know you're my sisters. There's nothing you can do with me. But the only thing that I ask of you guys is give me your addresses, because if you don't answer my phone call, I'll take a flight. I got to visit.
Yes, Yasmin.
Yes, Sister Yvonne, if anyone or this media stays a long time, a long way, and it can reach a lot of people. If there are globally young people who are listening or who will be watching on the replay in the future, what will you tell them? What advice, how they can get involved into this global youth empowerment?
Yes, thank you so much. The advice that I would tell every youth out there, the first question I'll ask them is, what is your why? What is your why for doing what you're doing?
So,
Yes. Is your why big enough or is it little? You have to be able to dream big. Dream big that it can scare you. Because when you dream so big, now you begin to work towards it. I dreamt so big. Imagine coming from a village that there was nothing. And now you are living in modern times in the United States, in the United Kingdom. And you can fulfill these dreams better than I did back then. So, what is your why? Have you really find out what you love to do, or you're just copying or following along? Never you follow along. Find what is it that God has placed within you to do that you're not doing. Find that out. And I will tell you that when you find those things out, when you know your why, be determined under all circumstances. There is something that happens when you are determined When you believe and when you have faith, there is something that happened. It happened to me. I did not know it happened, and it's still happening every day to me. When you are determined, take action, no matter how small those actions are. When you're thinking, write it down. There is a verse in the greatest book of wisdom, Habakkuk 2:2, that says, write it down. It did not say type it. Write it down with your own handwriting and put it in a card. And when you want to go to bed in the evening, read it to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, read it. Put it under your pillow. And before you know, you start moving towards those dreams. So thank you so much.
Sister, I think my last question, without saying goodbye, is our continent, Africa. We have a problem, and that problem we were having a long time. One of our problems is we have a rich continent with rich minerals, with rich farming, with rich livestock, with rich, fishing. But our people, those who have been trained inside the continent, inside the African countries, they just immigrate because they can't stay there. Like me, you, Yasmin, we have been, now we are middle-aged women, but we have been a youth one day, and we immigrate. We came from, our countries to Europe, to America. So it is a brain drain. The main problem in Africa now is a brain drain because people are running away with so many reasons, for political, for conflicts, for jobless, for lack of jobs, for lack of health, basic health and something. How you think that we can eliminate that? Yeah,
Okay.
if we get that chance one day, for God's sake, how did you think that we can eliminate?
Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you asked that question because we could not have left from here today without focusing on ourselves. Because if you don't focus on yourself, you cannot focus on another person. Then there is a problem there. We are Africans and we are speaking here as Africans and we represent Africa. Because if we help Africa well, then Africa can be able to help the world. This is a big thing that I am so much working for to see what we can do. The number one thing that we can do is change of our mindsets. Africans have been so beaten from slavery, colonialism, and now continuous exploitation. And I'm saying it because it is true, the Western world. And they make us to believe that we amount to nothing, that we cannot do anything. And Africa is the richest continent on the surface of the earth. Africa feeds more than 67% of the world with natural resources. We have them. Our leaders have been so brainwashed that they are not focusing on the youth. Because if I was a youth, I graduated from school, I did not have a job. I applied, I didn't have it. And now you start looking outside. But we have to begin to construct institutions, jobs, food, communities that they can live in so that they know that they are living in wealth. They are walking on wealth. They need to stay. You and I need to do that from here back home. Even if we are outside now, we need to build that continent from here. And one of the things that we need to do is to sensitize the African population. They don't support one another. They need to support one another. We can have our differences, but those differences are there to help us grow. I have to be able to support you, not just only financially, but materially, spending my time volunteering and doing things. This is what these countries are doing, but we are not doing. We need to believe in ourselves. If you don't believe in yourself, you go to believe in another person, you're not getting anywhere. It doesn't work that way. That is not how God created us. We need to believe in self. Mind education to change the mind of Africans is what I'm working on. And because this book, it's mind education. That is what I've been working on. We need to educate them to change their mindset, to believe in themselves, to believe in their continent, to begin to grow their. I'm doing farming here. It's the same thing that I could have done in Africa, right? And we have fertile soil. Africa has the largest landscape. After China, Africa is the second largest population in the world. In America, we have doctors, engineers who are Africans. We are serving other people instead of serving the continent of Africa. So, three of us can start something. When we do it, people will begin to come in. Let's do it. We are in our middle ages now, like you said, but we can still do it. We can take 1, 2, 3, 10 years. We say, this is what we're going to do. We build those schools. We encourage the children. This is AI now with OnPassive. Now they can stay in Africa and do their things in Africa and develop the continent of Africa. When the continent of Africa is developed in relation to the whole world will be developed. This is the essence of one global movement. And you guys are power pillars in one global movement. We can do this. Three of us can do it. Others will start
Yes.
to join.
Yes,
I
we
bet
can.
you. Three of us can do it. Anything that you're doing, I come full force. I bring all my population, my friends and family. Anything that I am doing, we do the same. That is how it is. The Bible says nobody's an island upon themselves. I cannot do it by myself. You can do it by yourself. We can do it by ourselves with the true love. We're going to make mistakes, but we oversee those mistakes and move ahead to what matters. And in love, we can do it, and truth and happiness. We can do it. I'm telling you, we can do this. If I came from nothing, from grass to grace, so together, why can't we do it? We can do it. And we continue to educate the mind. But we cannot educate somebody without giving them food to eat, a home to stay in, or especially food. If somebody's hungry, they're not going to listen to you. So we're going to be using our apples a lot to make sure that these kids eat so they can learn well. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Over to you, Yasmin.
Yes. My last question is count me out of Africa mission because I can't handle. I'm tired. I don't want to work with you in Africa mission. That's a joke. So how can you how can individuals, stakeholders, or companies or any community who watch this clip today or in the future, if they fell in love and they want to reach you out and if they want to contribute to be part of it, what where they can just reach you out? What do you need?
Um,
If anyone, individual, community, a company, or a stakeholder want to support one global movement?
yes, thank you so much. You can certainly reach me. I am on social media handles, and my number too is there, a business number, and I also have my email, building hopes and dreams. You can put it there, building hopes and dreams in the chat. Building hopes and dreams at gmail.com. They can reach me, but they can also reach me through you guys. And I am trying to build, because there are some people who are trying to support one global movement, which is a good thing. But what they require of me is to form 501c so that they can contribute. And that will be a very great thing. People can contribute through that. And people can contribute through discussion. You guys can register to come on stage and let us carry out a conversation. It is only through conversation that we can begin to build those things that we are building. If we don't discuss things and find out how well we can do it, we will not be able to do it. So there are a lot of ways in which you can reach me or reach us, because three of us here are part of one global
What is
movement.
the email? Building hobbies at what?
Building hopes
Yes.
and dreams. Let me see if I can I put it in the chat? Let me
Yes, you
see.
can put
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
email,
Put in the chat. Yeah.
please.
Okay. Let me put it in the chat, building hopes and dreams, and my
Yes.
number
While you
is
are putting, I will talk to the Somalis. Somalis waxaan u sheegi lahaa mino haddaa u sheegi karta gabadha inay Afrika ka timid dhakhtarad qalin jabisay haddana Maraykanka dhinaca ka degan oo beer ku beerato gurigeeda ay aaminsan tahay guri kasta inay tumaandhadeeda ku beerato hadalkaas ma u sheegi karta amina Soomaalida.
Maqlayaan mahano.
Let me know if you see it, and then I'll put my number here. Texting is preferred. Let me put +1 just in case.
Building hopes and dreams
At gmail.com. Read the email well. N is just the letter N. +1
Okay.
651 2784106.
I think the email is enough.
The email is
Yeah,
okay. The
the
email.
email is enough. The email is
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
Uh,
Soomaalida waxaan u sheegi lahaa gabadhaaneet inay gabarta muxuu ahaa dhalinyarada empower garaysaa adduunyada dhan global ay leedahay one global movement dhaqdhaqaaqa horumarka dhalinyarada maraykankay degan tahay maalinda south korea ka timid waxay ka degan tahay meel baadiye ah aan u guuratil magaalooyinka ma jecli hooyadayna 30 sannadood ee maqaaxi lahaan jirta waa kusoo kornay weligeenna waxaan aaminsannahay ee ku tiri in qofka bini'aadanka gurigiisa inuu in yar ka banaysto khudaartiisa inta la beeran karo bisbaaska iyo tamaandhada ama yaanyada waxaa u taqaaniin waxyaabaha toonta kabsara caleenta waxya necessariga oo dhan inuu qof kasta gurigiisa ku beeran karo america degantay ku beerataa uma baahna xitaa khudradii wuxuu barakhiisa iskiin laakiin weli waxay tiri shaqadeedii markay u soo baxdana weli hadda kama beec mushtartee intay kariso ayay dadka baahan siisaa qaarna muxuu ahaa hadday u baahato way gadi kartaa marka waxa waa qofka dayasho mudan annageennan xataa kuma dayno laakiin dalkeennii xataa dadka jooga way ku dayan karaan qofka geeskiisu ka beeran karaa khudradda ugu yar biyo badan iyo roobna ma kaaga baahna markasta haddaa dhehaysa roobaa loo baahan yahay waraab jalmad yaraa ku bilbili kartaa marka khudraddaada necessariga ah dalka turkiga xataa wuxuu ku horumaray waxa waa ukuntan halkaas uga soo baxdaa subaxdii jiistii ay tabcadeen nyaanyadii qajaarkii subaxda intaas qofka cunuga hadduu cuno laba lafoodu noqonaya waana cunto culus marka in lagu dayday mudan tahay intaas taa idiin sheegaya
barnaamijkeeda one global movement waa jumco walba her program one global movement is on every Friday marka dibaa laydinkaga sheegi doonaa saacadda la socda annaga beejajkeena annagaa ka mid ah we are part of this movement so we are going to share when one global movement is live streaming or on.
Yes, we are coming to the end, Sister Yvonne. As we have got this privilege inherited from Ash Mufarah because of our meeting and early collaboration we are doing. Thanks to him. What message will you send to Ash Mufarah today?
Thank you so much for that. If anything, I don't know if a thank you will be enough, but I can say it in my mother's tongue because that carries a lot of weight and a lot of blessing. Mabenewe Ash Mufarah. It's bigger than a thank you because if not of Ash Mufarah, we would not be here today. And he is doing something for the world from his heart. And therefore, we are also doing it from our heart because we are under the umbrella of Mr. Ash Mufarah. We thank him so much for everything. And I pray, and we pray that God should continue to give him good health, the wealth, and the knowledge, and the wisdom that he needs to continue to grow the global economy in terms of businesses, education, the woman, old woman, the children, the youth, and everybody. So we thank him so much for everything.
So that our program, The Magic Do Show, which was, I believe, was very, very hot show tonight. And we have a guest speaker, and we are interviewing one and only Dr. Yvonne Mundi from USA, from Africa, from Cameroon. So that we are going to say bye-bye. Let me close the program in my own language. daawadayaasha qiimaha ee qadarinta mudan caawa barnaamijkii labadii cajiibka ahayd The Magic Do waanu wadnay aniga iyo saaxiibada Yasmin martina ay noogu ahayd Dr. Yvonne Mundi oo ah gabar Afrikaana oo kasoo jeeda wadanka Cameroon isla markaana degan wadanka Maraykanka waxaa intaas ayaanu kusoo gabagabeynaynaa tan iyo kulan dambe waxaa adan leenahay sidaas iyo nabadgelyo so we are going to say you goodbye.
Thank you, Dr. Yvonne.
Thank you guys so much. I love you.
Don't move until we are off.
Okay.
Actually, you want this stream.